Welcome, and thank you for joining us for the Tic-Tac-Toe Board paint class. In your kit, you will find a wood tic-tac-toe board, 5 wood X pieces, and 5 wood O pieces. The kit also includes a brush, paint stirrer, water cup, stain rag, and paint pots with stain for the board and 2 Dixie Belle chalk mineral paint colors for the pieces. For today's demonstration, we are using Dixie Belle's water-based VooDoo gel stain in Tobacco Road and chalk mineral paint in Drop Cloth and Bunker Hill Blue. We will be starting by staining the board with the VooDoo gel stain in Tobacco Road. You may want to cut this paint pot apart from the 2 chalk mineral paint colors and or pour the stain onto a paper plate to make it easier to dip your stain rag. First, you want to determine the direction of the grain on your board. Look for the darker grain lines running across the board. This is the direction in which you want to apply your stain. Next, dip your stain rag into the stain and begin to wipe the stain onto the board in the same direction as the wood grain. You want the stain to absorb into the board and wipe away any excess for an even finish. The stain should not be puddling up on the wood. Continue this process until the entire board is covered. Try not to go back over the same spots until they are completely dry to avoid lifting the stain and causing light spots. If a light spot occurs, let it dry and come back later to lightly wipe on more stain. Once you have finished staining your board, set it aside to dry and we'll get started on the game pieces. All of the X's will be painted in one color and all of the O's in the other, so decide which color you want for each. Use one side of your paint stirrer to mix up the paint you are using for the X's. If the paint seems a little thick, you can add a drop or 2 of filtered water to thin the paint slightly. This will also slow the drying time and allow more time for the paint to self-level, thereby reducing brush strokes. Add a small amount of paint to your brush and begin painting your first X. Similar to the stain we just did, you want to paint to absorb into the wood. Brush away any paint that is pulling or sitting high on the surface. Be sure to brush up and away from the edges of the game pieces to prevent paint from dripping over onto the wood-burned black sides. Check regularly for drips and wipe them away with a damp cloth or your finger. You can pause the video here and finish painting the first coat on all your X's. When you finish your last X, if your first X is already dry, you can go back and start your second coat of paint on all the X's. Use a hairdryer to speed up the drying process if you want. Rinse your brush thoroughly and blot all the excess water onto a paper towel before starting with the O color. Follow the same process on all the O pieces with the second color, being careful to brush up and away from the edges to avoid drips on the side. After you have finished second coats on all of your game pieces, allow everything to dry thoroughly overnight before playing your first game of tic-tac-toe. If you have additional paint colors at home, you can paint the reverse side of the game pieces for additional color combos. Dixie Belle chalk mineral paint does not need to be sealed and fully cures in 30 days, but feel free to seal with any of the sealers from Dixie Belle. Thank you for joining us for the Tic-Tac-Toe Board at-home paint class. We hope you enjoyed today's class. Stay tuned for future take-home kits from Belle Home Market and consider joining us for one of our in-store public or private group classes. Thanks again!